Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mundane Matt, and this is a bit of an odd video to make because I'm going to be talking about what I view as censorship on college campuses, but not in the way that we have been seeing over the course of the past 2 years, it feels like, right? This is almost a reversal of everything we've come to know, but granted, it happened in 2012, but the case was just settled, unfortunately, not the right way this week. So, at the University of New Mexico, a student by the name of Monica Pompeo, back in 2012, was in a class for critiquing movies, right? And she critiqued a 1985 film titled Desert Hearts, which she wrote about this lesbian romance in the movie, or I guess maybe the key romance in the movie. And she was asked to rewrite it, and she chose not to, and chose to withdraw from the class in the spring of 2012, basically citing free speech had been violated. Well, this particular review contained this particular phrase, which the report, I'm assuming, is trying to point to the problem part, where it says, entirely perverse in its desire and attempt to reverse the natural roles of man and woman, in addition to championing the barren wombs of these women. It's mild by, I guess, today's comparison. I don't quite know if 5 years ago it was any bit more mild or less mild or whatever, but it was enough to kind of warrant the instructor to not want it and to want that particular line rewritten. There's nothing there. All right. She's talking about a movie that's, in her view, is entirely perverse in its desire to reverse the natural roles of man and women. Right? Like, that's it. That's not a fucking horrible thing to say, but it's in New Mexico. What the fuck? So essentially, she took it to court saying her free speech rights were violated because they rejected this particular passage. And well, she went in front of a two judge panel, and Circuit Judge Carlos Lucero said that Pompeo did not have an unfettered right to use language in a course assignment that professors might find offensive. Just kind of think about that for a second. A judge is basically telling this woman that she didn't have the right to use language in a course assignment that professors might find offensive. Okay, fine. I get that to an extent. But that being said, this is a college course. This is a college course. This is where you have your ideals tested. This is where you have your opinions tested. This is where you are taught to think openly and rationally and to be open to different forms of speech and criticism, so on and so forth. What I want to know is what kind of special snowflake professor rejected that line, which, just from reading it, is blatantly fucking harmless. But no, she felt it was a violation of her free speech. And to an extent, I actually, not even to an extent, I actually very much agree with her. Now, the judge says that this meant the university and two professors who reviewed her essay were not liable for damages for any alleged First Amendment violations. I think that's fucking horseshit, right? I do. I think that's fucking horseshit. But Lucero goes on to say, teaching students to avoid inflammatory language when writing for an academic audience qualifies as a legitimate pedagogical goal. Short of turning every classroom into a courtroom, we must entrust to educators these decisions that require judgments based on viewpoint. But unless that specific viewpoint was outlined at the beginning of the course or at the beginning of the assignment, college is generally seen as a very liberal and open place. That's not an uncommon assertion of what a university campus is like. All right. Granted, we have seen the snowflake left, the regressive left, the separatists, the segregationists, all of these people come out in like mass force and try to shut down a number of these free speech elements of college campuses. But this is the exact opposite. This is a professor, and fuck, two professors, that are upset at probably the fact that she said, and the last part of her line was, in addition to championing the barren wombs of these women. Now, I haven't seen Desert Hearts. I was 3 years old in 1985, but I'll tell you this. If this was like any bit related to film, and she was taking a film. It doesn't really say what class she was taking, but when I was in film school, we watched a movie with like Misha Barton and Piper Perabo, and it was some lesbian romance novel. And at the end, Piper Perabo jumped off a fucking roof and became a fucking eagle, and I know it was symbolic, right? And we all ragged on it for being a piece of shit film that, you know, whatever. And our teacher, totally cool with it. Our teacher, totally cool with us tearing apart the movie and everything else, because he let us speak our mind. He let us speak our truth and use it as a way to teach us the lessons he wanted to teach us. Me and that dude, we are still friends, and I graduated 10 years ago. I have the utmost respect for this professor because of how he acted. These two professors, I swear to God, at any other college, I feel, would be laughed out of the fucking building if they did this shit. Let me just quickly tell you, all right, about my professor, why he was so cool. I'm sitting in class one day. We're learning about the theory, or not theories, but we're learning about like filmmaking techniques, so on and so forth, you know, and we're taking a test and everything for it. And he walks over to me and he goes, "Mr. Jarbo, I have a question for you." And I was like, "Yeah, what's that?" And he goes, "Do you have AIDS?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have AIDS." And he said it loud in front of the whole classroom. And everyone looks up and they're like, "What the fuck did he just ask you?" And he's like, "So you don't have AIDS?" I'm like, "No, I don't have AIDS." And he goes, "Good, you're just the asshole I'm looking for." And everyone's like, "Oh," you know, and I'm like, "All right, that's pretty fucking funny. You got me laughing on that one." Next week rolls around. I'm a few minutes late to class. I walk in, I ask him, "Hey, what are we talking about?" And he goes, "Oh, we're talking about the proper way to store and contain semen." And I looked at him point blank, never broke a beat, and just said, "Well, you were in the Navy. You know how to swallow." And everyone's like, "Oh," and, you know, they're looking at him to get mad at me and, like, you know, get me in trouble. And he just looks at me and he starts laughing. Is like, "Okay, that was funny." And that was the camaraderie that him and I have, and to an extent still have today, over 10 years later. That is a person who cares about teaching and is willing to make the jokes and take the jokes in order to further reach the students. These two professors, and I'm sure it's just the one professor, did the exact opposite, became upset and triggered at the term barren wombs of these women, or even the idea that was proposed of this film attempting to reverse the natural roles of man and woman, and fucking wanted it changed. That professor is a goddamn snowflake. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. But here's the thing. Even though Pompeo lost the battle, because she lost the war, they still paid for her, refunded her tuition for the class. So it's not like she was out of money. All right. So I get that. And that's good. At least they did that. I disagree with everything else, but at least they did that. I just want these professors to nut up, to sack up, right? To realize that people are going to have a different way of speaking, a different way of talking, a different way of processing what they see, and a different way of communicating. The idea there is to be open to that level of communication and start a dialogue about something that you disagree with. Don't just go, "Well, I want this changed," or "You're going to fail." And then the fact that they won in a court of law is what angers me the most. America shit. Jesus fucking Christ. That's just ridiculous. It's like saying she doesn't have an unfettered right to use language that they might find offensive. Tell me that is not some special snowflake regressive mindset bullshit. University of New Mexico, go fuck yourself. I hope no one ever goes there. But what do you guys think about this? Do you think she had her free speech rights violated? Do you think because it was a paid course and this is a paid professor, they have a right to determine what is or what isn't considered fair and open speech? Do you feel that she should have won this case because her First Amendment rights were violated? These are things I'm curious about. Let me know in the comments below. My name is, of course, Mundane Matt. Be sure to like the video and subscribe and check back daily for more content from me. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day and peace out.